Hola, witches. Can I just say I want to scream, I want to cry, I want to yell. Yeah. So I recorded this live today, and I literally just sat down to listen. Like, I uploaded it, I posted it, blah 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 blah. And something just said, "You know what, bitch? You got to listen." And I don't know what happened. I don't know if I just couldn't keep still, and like, because this microphone you have to like talk directly into. If I move around, then uh the audio is just weird. So I don't know if it was that or what the fuck was happening, but um it sucked. It was terrible. And to be fair, it was a long ass fucking video. And I didn't want to do that with this. I really didn't want to do that with this series because attention spans, y'all. Attention spans. We got to be considerate. So, hopefully this I'm really really hoping that this sounds okay this time around. Otherwise I will just cry. I will. Tears. Bottle them up. So, with that being said, all right, let's dive in. Welcome back to another session of Between the Cards, where we take one core card, okay, drop it in the center, and let the surrounding cards tell the story. Today's sovereign of the spread is the King of Wands. Yes, oh, sorry. I don't know if you can hear that. The King of Wands. Yes, yes, yes. The fiery director, the executor, the leader. He doesn't wait for permission. He sets the pace. He sets the tone. And frankly, frankly, my friends, he sets the room on fire in the best possible ways. If you're new here, if you're new to me, hello, welcome, welcome. The method really is simple. Your core card, the one we choose for the week, or however I do, it sits in the middle. That's sort of the anchor, and that's kind of what we take a lot of time exploring. I was trying to say explaining and expanding. Who knows what I was trying to say? I got like mentally tied up. But it's this between the cards. Basically, I'm focusing on a core card, and I give you the information about it. I try to pick it apart as best as I can, and I share with you like how like the information, the insight, the data, and and it hopefully provides you the tools. So when you're going through something, you're like, oh, this is a King of Wands moment. Let me get this, and let me pull some other cards to sort of like work through or navigate something that's important to me or that I'm going through, right? So yeah, the middle card's your anchor, and the card on the left, it can show different things, such as like what the figure sees, knows, or draws fuel from. The card on the right, it might show what that energy influences, or where it's landing, or what's not fully in view yet. And it really just depends on each card. Okay. And since we're talking about the King of Wands today, the King of Wands faces left, as you can see in the beautiful imagery I have for you here. Um, but you can see that uh, they face left. All right. And so when we're thinking about, okay, well, how do I position it? What do I want? Yada yada yada. Well, he everything that is on his left, he knows, or he knows of, or he sees, or there's like a seed back in his mind where it's something that he was aware of, but maybe it needs to be brought to his attention again. Like there's something there, but he knows it on some level because again, he is facing whatever is on his left, and that's something that's important. Okay. And so the card on the right shows, yeah, it shows it could be, if you look at his body positioning, he's not blocking the right. He's positioned in a way where there's still fluid movement from left to right, but he's more focused on the left. Okay. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, but The card on the right can show. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes. The card on the right can show what that energy is influencing, where it's landing, or what's not fully in view. And again, recapping. And since it's the King of Wands, he's facing left. In the Rider Waite deck, again, I used Rider Waite Smith variations tarot, different depictions of the Rider Waite Smith. Uh, and so that's what I'm talking about. So if your deck is different, then you just kind of you take the information and you apply it to how your deck is utilized. So uh again, that side that he's facing is what he's actively looking at. Okay, the right in this case, that's where his fire is flowing, but not where his eyes are. So you can see like he's aware of his left, and the left is very important. And the right, the fire, the creativity, those juices, that energy is able to move and pass through, but he's not necessarily concerned with it. So let me get closer because I'm moving away. I'm moving away. Oh my god. So let's just talk about the core breakdown. I'm trying not to put my arm on my desk to have this conversation with you, but I can't help it. So I hope it doesn't mess. I really hope it doesn't mess my audio up. Oh my god, I'm gonna be so guys. So the core breakdown. So who is that king? Who is the king of wands? Um, and you can see here the visionary leader, but the king has double the firepower. Why? Because the kings, like the kings of tarot, they represent fire. Okay, they're associated with the element of fire. And wands in the Rider Waite Smith deck. Okay, your deck might be different, but in the I'm gonna say the Rider Waite Smith. What, bitch? Okay, the Rider Waite Smith. So sorry. The wand suit represents fire. And if you put them together, and this keen is fire of fire, double fire. And that's not just like raw chaos. It feels very refined into vision, direction, and leadership. This is passion you can follow. It's the torch in the dark that says, "This way, bitch. Come on." Now, let's talk about the archetype and role. The King of Wands is the visionary leader, entrepreneurial, charismatic, innovative. He doesn't just brainstorm, he mobilizes. He's the one pointing to the horizon and saying, "Here's the mountain we climb at dawn." All right. All right. Kings are external rulers. They project their suit outward. So while the queens nurture and embody their energy inwardly, kings broadcast, um, shaping the world around them. So they're projecting, and in this case, fire of fire is projecting outward, shaping and forming the reality to his will, I suppose you could say. Now, if you think about like the key traits of a king upright, the king of wands, they can be associated with big picture vibes and future facing, um, courageous and catalytic, magnetic, persuasive, inspiring, turns passion into momentum. Okay. Turns passion into momentum, turns momentum into outcome. So it's like taking this idea, this passion, this creative force into movement, because again, fire, it will take something, it will consume it, and it will move it into something else, right? And so that's kind of what the King of Wands, fire of fire, is doing here, where he's taking this passion and this excitable idea or creation. It's not yet physical, and then he's building momentum around it, and that momentum gains traction, and that traction becomes a solution. It becomes physical, it becomes tangible, right? And then we have an outcome. All right. um and the King of Wands, leads by example. However, he's not reversed today, but if he was, his shadow and cautionary tales can talk of burnout, impatience, or bulldozing others, overconfidence sliding into arrogance, charisma without staying power if stamina isn't managed. Yeah, King of Wands can be in a shadowy, challenging kind of is a cunt, is rude, is a douche, is too much, like gross. Hmm. In a very somatic and felt sense, the King of Wands kind of in order to like if you want to know you're in King of Wands vibe or King of Wands energy, it can manifest in a way or rise up in our chest and we feel that heat, we feel that warmth. Our spine straightens, your voice gets clearer, you're looking forward, you're very in your own body, you're not inward, you're not internal, you're standing strong, standing tall, looking forward. You feel warm, and decisions come with a sort of march, with a pep to your step, right? So you can really channel the King of Wands in that way by just focusing on those things. Now, if we look at this card here with the King of Wands, we see quite a few things. Okay. I'm not going to pick it all apart, but I'm going to just provide you with a little bit, a little taste, honey. We have lions and salamanders on his throne, symbols of strength and alchemy, a flowering wand, a budding wand in his hand, creative power that grows, very fertile. It can represent fertility, right? A salamander has that all familiar spirit made manifest at his feet. What should we name him? He needs a name. What is Sally's salamander? What's his name? Comment, and let's name him. Or her, or them, whatever. We need a name. Come on now. Uh, um, but the salamander at his feet can be transformation at a very ground base level. His cloak is alive with salamander loops, kind of mimicking the Ouroboros, right? Um, Fire renewing itself. The land is dry, reminding us leadership needs strategy or the fire burns out. And most importantly, he faces left. He sees his fuel, but his fire lands to the right. So with this, when he's looking to the left, I envision like he the King of Wands recognizes that the importance of his people, his community, who he works for. Like this can be very political too. It's like, oh, this political individual is very invested into his people, the people that he works for, she works for, they work for. And so they realize like the solution, the importance is making sure that the community is cared for, the community is taken care of and provided for, and that will set up for a blessed future, open to the future, growing and being better. But we have to take care of the problems and the challenges that are happening now. You see what I'm saying? And you can see, like, to me, I look at him and that's kind of what's going on because he's looking to the left, he's looking back. um Anyways, so if we think about the way, I'm just trying to paint the picture of the King of Wands here for you so you have more information. So when we lay it out and we practice and we do some examples, you work with more, right? So when you think about compatibility, we have fire and earth, right? So when the King of Wands interacts with earth or pentacles, the pentacle soup, we might have some, and this is helpful to note because again, on your left or on your right, depending on what cards we choose, if it's a pentacles, if it's a swords, if it's a cups, whatever, those will factor in. Elemental dignity factors in. And so um, when the King of Wands, fire, interacts with Pentacles, earth, this may be vision grounded into systems and legacy. Also, if there's too much earth, so like if there was a pentacles card on left and right, it might be too much earth and snuff the fire out. So we have to take that into consideration. When fire and air interact, we have air swords, vision sharpened into strategies and words, but also air and fire together can be very, very problematic, can be very overwhelming and cause a lot of pain with how air and fire can really take off. So it can be this beautiful vision sharpened into distinct strategies and articulation of what needs to be said of words, but it also can be scary. And all of these things have their ups and downs, right? And fire and water cups can be vision tempered with compassion and loyalty. So, fire and water is very interesting because water can put fire out, but fire can also boil water. So, it can be very healing, it can be very damaging, hence, right? But because he's fire of fire, he thrives when the surrounding cards balance him. That's why the left and right method really matters here. It shows where to add a blast. Blast. Every time I say that, blast, it, I think blast. I'm saying blast. Oh my god, I can't do it. Oh my gosh, why did I write that down? Um, where to pour fuel and where to cool the flame. So now when to place the King of Wands at center. Let's just talk about it a little bit. Like, okay, that's a little bit about the King of Wands and what he represents and how he interacts. And so we're getting a feel for him. But between the cards, what I want to do with this is very tactical. We don't just wait for a card to show up. We can intentionally place it at the center, you know, to work through a specific focus. So, when does the King of Wands belong in the middle? Well, maybe we're dealing with leadership and direction stuff. Maybe we need insight on leadership and direction, or we have challenges there. So that's when we place the King of Wands at center. And then maybe the card on the left can represent what you already know about your leadership or the situation fueling it. The card on the right can represent how that leadership is shaping the world around you. Okay. I'm going to give you several examples here that we can plug in and play with. Um, confidence and charisma. Confidence and charisma. Boom. King of Wands at center. Card on the left. Again, and when you do this, like shuffle your deck, focus on the King of Wands, focus on, your specific, your deliberate intention or what you're exploring. And then you'll go to the King of Wands, you'll lay it at the center, and you'll make sure to pay attention to the card that's be on the left of it and the card that's in front of him. And so with confidence and charisma left, what drains or powers your confidence? So this could be, again, it just depends on what your question really is or what you want to focus on. This could be what drains your confidence, or maybe it's like what powers your confidence. And the right can be what shifts when you stand tall and own the room. So when you understand how to navigate this, like, ooh, this is what drains my confidence, but this might also have something to do with what powers it as well, or separate, just by themselves. What drains this? What powers this? Okay. And then the right, it's like, ooh, um, when I step into my own power, what shifts? Okay, what shifts within me, around me, all of it. Creative vision and entrepreneurship. So when we want to focus on creative vision or entrepreneurship, maybe the card on the left could be the spark or challenge that fuels your project. Okay. The card on the right, how that vision impacts audience. market, or next stage growth. Overcoming challenges. So when we want to overcome challenges, we can channel the King of Wands and put them at center, and the card on the left can be the obstacle you already see. And again, it could be something like you've kind of like noticed, and on some level, your body recognizes like this is the obstacle, but maybe it's not really in the main frame of your system. And so when you put the card out, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That is an obstacle. It's something I kind of knew. And then the card on the right, where decisive courage moves the needle. So the right card is where decisive courage moves the needle. Motivation and willpower. Queen of Wands, motivation and willpower. The card on the left can be why your fire dimmed. Okay, why your fire dimmed. The card on the right, what reignites it and keeps it steady. So let's say you're going through it and you feel kind of lackluster. Well, motivation and willpower, bitch. King of Wands at center, and then the card on the left is why my fire dimmed, and the card on the right is what's going to reignite it and help keep it steady, keep that steady momentum. External authority figures. So when we deal with like bosses or mentors, external authority figures. The card on the left, we have the King of Wands at center, and the card on the left can be what drives them or where their bias lies. The card on the left can represent like their motivation for being that authority figure, or their motivation for wanting to be your boss. And then the card on the right can be how their influence lands on you. So like if they are your boss, and if they are kind of like if you feel like they have ulterior motives, um the card on the left could be like what those ulterior motives are, and the card on the right could be like how those play into into you, like how that transfers to you. Spiritual or magical leadership, just don't. But if that's a calling for you, the King of Wands at center, and then the card on the left can be the wound, passion, or spirit fueling your fire. So like your why, your desire, like the thing that really gets you going and wanting to do this. And the card on the right could be how your magic changes the community or the work itself. So it's like if you really focus in on your why and you feel Philly, you Philly. If you really focus in on doing the work and you really want to be of service, that's great. It's beautiful. The card on the right will share with you like this is how you can facilitate that, and this is the change that you might usher in. Okay. And I think something that's dominant here is to understand that the King of Wands turns vision into momentum, not someday, but today. So the King of Wands turns vision into momentum, not someday, but today. Okay. So there's some like little tips on left and right cards, and how to utilize them. And I hope you can take something from that and also add to your own. And please, if you add your own, tag me. I'm on Facebook and Blue Sky, or comment on the video wherever you're watching it. And let me know like what you come up with and why. I always like to know the why. So if you can share, because I think when we know the why, like then it adds more connection to the card itself, right? So a little refresher before we get into our examples. Because the king faces left, the left card is what he already sees. He it's what he already knows or draws fuel from. The right card is what his fire shapes. The influence or outcome that unfolds even if he's not looking straight at it. Okay. So let's see. Something to be sort of when we're doing these techniques, especially with the King of Wands, something to kind of keep at the back of our mind as we're like processing, like what's fueling my leadership right now? What impact am I actually creating? What's the adjustment that keeps my fire sustainable? So like, I feel like no matter what, like whatever example that I've given you up there above that we just talked about, whatever one you choose to utilize, keep these three thoughts in mind. So it adds into when you lay it out, you can answer like if the left can be associated with whatever we stated, but also layer into that this is what fuels your leadership right now. Okay. And then just think of it like that. But let it be a conversation between you and the cards. Okay. So now we can get into the examples. Here we go. Boom, 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 pow. My friends, I really hope that the audio works better on this. I'm going to cry if it doesn't. I really am. If I can, I don't know. So, our first example, we have the Nine of Swords, which is funny because our first between the card session was with the Nine of Swords. And this is a new deck that I use. So I shuffled. I was like, okay, what's on the left? Okay, what's on the right? And the Nine of Swords came up. So I'm like, haha, that's funny. Nine of Swords, our core is, of course, the King of Wands and the King of Pentacles on the right. So here's one to see him in action. One way to see him in action. So if we take the leadership and direction spread on the left, the Nine of Swords, which can be linked to fear, anxiety, sleepless nights. The King of Wands sees this. He knows it's there. That's his fuel. In the center, he alchemizes it to into decisive leadership. On the right, the King of Pentacles, stable outcomes, legacy systems, revenue. So the teaching here would be that anxiety can be fuel if you convert it into strategy, lead to the fear, and you land in stability. So if we go back to the leadership and direction, the card on the left is what you already know about your leadership or situation, feeling it. So like if we look at the King of Wands, he sees the Nine of Swords. He's like, oh, I have anxiety. I really have a lot of like again, maybe this is like, oh, my backstory is I have struggled with mental health and maybe insomnia or other things that compound on each other to create problematic uh, s- um, atmosphere for in the body. And so the King of Wands is like, maybe they're working in health and wellness, and they want to be an advocate here because of their personal experiences. And so that is what is fueling the King of Wands, because they've had those nightmare experiences and they're trying to be an advocate, right? And so the card on the right is how that leadership is shaping the world around you. The King of Pentacles is good. The King of Pentacles is Gucci. Like, come on, girl. The King of Pentacles has all of the resources, is living, has the resources to do whatever they want, really. And so if we think about it in that way, the King of Wands could be saying, "Oh, this focus on mental health, this focus on being an advocate and making sure the right people get the right help, it's going to it's going to shape the world around me in the best possible way, because I'm going to be able to connect with many people who have money, who have excuse me, I'm so sorry, who have resources to help me." Okay? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And let's move on to example two. So, with example two, we have the Five of Cups, the King of Wands, of course, and Strength. Now, now, let's look at a different anchor. Okay. Overcoming challenges. On the left, we have Five of Cups, which can be grief and disappointment. That's the loss the king acknowledges. In the center, the King of Wands is saying, I lead forward anyway with purpose. On the right, strength, courage tempered with compassion. Get a little sip of water. So, the message here is loss doesn't mean the fire is out. Leadership after grief builds true courage and earns trust. Okay. Overcoming challenges. Now let me go back up. I should have wrote this down. So When we're talking about overcoming challenges, the obstacle you already see is the card on the left, and so the key and the card on the right is where decisive courage moves the needle. And so if we look at this, the King of Wands is like the obstacle is loss, is grief, understanding that there are, again, this actually goes really well with what we just talked about with mental health. It's like, oh, relationships are lost, or I'm grieving, or someone died, and I can't really come out of it. And I do know that there are people here with me, and I do know that there are people still living, and so the King of Wands, this could be someone who is a death doula, or someone who's a medium, or someone who is working with spirit in a way, or working with people who are who are doing oh shit, what's the hospice, right? Where we're facilitating pain, and well, we're holding space for people's pain and death process, but also understanding it's not just about those who pass on, it's about also those who remain. And the King of Wands could be like, um with the obstacle you already see, it's like, oh, I know, I've maybe he's been through it, or she's been through it, they've been through it, or they recognize like people have a hard time focusing on those who remain when they're going through a grieving point, and they don't see really those who are still there for them and showing up for them. And so where decisive courage moves the needle is with strength, which is a major arcana card. And we know that this is like, look, life continues. The lemniscate above the bitch's head, and well, she got to be a bitch because she's a baddie. That's why. Ugh, duh. Um, the strength card, the lemniscate, eternal. Um, I'm so sorry, eternity, and ebb and flow, and the sort of continuous nature of things. The King of Wands here could very well be saying like, look, with compassion, with strength, so a guided hand, I will help. I will be able to help people in need, who are grieving, who are mourning, to help them find the things that still matter in their lives, to find hope, and to look at what remains, and look at being able to anchor in the present reality, and find structure, and find healing, right? So, and that really is like, anxiety can be fuel if we learn to convert it into strategy. So it's like, okay, I know people's anxiety, like I know, like everyone's different, but it's like with the King of Wands, they know that. Let me help navigate that. Let me help you navigate that, right? I mean, not anxiety, but loss. Anxiety was the first card. But really with this, it's like, did I but yeah, with the sorry, I'm so sorry. On the left we have the Five of Cups, grief and disappointment. That's the loss the king acknowledges. In the center, the King of Wands says, I lead forward anyway with purpose. And again, on the right, strength, courage tempered with compassion. Again, that message is, loss doesn't mean the fire is out. Leadership after grief builds true courage and earns trust. So there's a lot of like, I really like how the two examples kind of connect to each other. I didn't even connect those dots until just right now. So like my mind is like, damn, that's interesting. So yeah, you can try it for other contexts as well. So like you can do confidence ignition. So get the King of Wands, and the card on the left is like, what's dimming your flame. The card on the right can be what lights up when you claim your power. Team leadership. The card on the left can be what your team needs you to see. And the card on the right can be the culture your leadership is actively creating. Okay. So the King of Wands, the King of Wands is fire directed, vision embodied, and projected outward. In between the cards, the left side shows what he sees and fuels from, and the right side shows the world he's actively shaping. Call on him when you need leadership, confidence, creative direction, or to turn inspiration into real world action. If the left card shows fear or grief, metabolize it into fuel. If the right card shows stability or courage, build the systems and stamina to sustain it. The king doesn't wait for conditions to be perfect, he creates them. All right, my friends. So, with that being said, try this little one at home, okay? I gave you a shit ton to work through, but why not add more homework to y'all's shit? Uh Place the King of Wands at center, okay? Shuffle your deck, just focus your energy, boo boo boo, blah blah blah. Put it out there. King of Wands at the center, and pull the card to the left of it, okay? um let's say this is the fuel. What's the fire I can use right now? And then pull a card for the right of it. Where where will my leadership make the most difference immediately? Okay, what's the fire I can use right now, and where will my leadership make the most difference immediately? And see what you get. Comment and let me know like what you got, and what you interpret it as, and all of that. But I hope that I really hope my audio works this time, but I hope you enjoy this. I hope it's not glitchy. And if you enjoy it, let me know. If you have a suggestion for our next card to explore, let me know, comment. Again, I just like talking to y'all. So have at it. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate you. This has been another session of Between the Cards with the King of Wands this time, the director, executor, leader, not from ego, but from embodied vision. Until next time, my friends, have fun.